It's an absolutely insane day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Hasbro has just admitted that Magic is on the decline. And on top of that, we've just been given the details of the upcoming Beyond boosters, and they look absolutely awful.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends! I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a mind-blowing installment of Mega Magic News. What's going on today is absolutely crazy. Hasbro straight out saying that Magic is on the decline to their investors, essentially their bosses, is not something I was expecting. But the numbers are so grim, it's impossible to hide what's going on. And the play boosters are one thing that have just come out, but Beyond boosters are the new thing that Wizards was counting on to be a big hit. But they've gone over so poorly that Wizards only released some details and are like, we'll tell you about the rest in maybe next week, okay? Because we don't really want to deal with the anger and backlash that we're going to get from this, because they already know internally, you can tell from the language they're using, that these Beyond boosters are not going to be well received. So we've got those to cover, but I understand that too much bad news can be too much for you. So at the end of the video, I'm going to end it off with some nice news, some things that are actually going right, so it doesn't feel like full-on 1001% disaster, because this is a rough scenario. Hasbro is in a really bad spot, right? Overall, for the year of 2023, their revenue is down by 20% overall, okay? Now, Magic the Gathering has been buoying Hasbro up to an insane degree. If you go and look at the earnings report, it's insane to see Magic the Gathering is the only thing that's making margins for them. Wizards of the Coast overall, but let's be very clear. When we talk about Wizards of the Coast, we're talking about Magic the Gathering. And yes, I mean, on a small little scale, things like Baldur's Gate, those things can make a little bit of a blip on the radar, but Dungeons and Dragons itself is not a huge moneymaker for Wizards of the Coast, right? Wizards of the Coast made $200 million off the Lord of the Ring Magic expansion. There is nothing in D&D's history that comes close to pulling in $200 million for one release. Plus, D&D players actually end up costing Wizards of the Coast more money because they will tolerate way less nonsense from Wizards. Obviously, we had the open gaming license thing where they're like, okay, forget it. We're not going to give you the money, Wizards, anymore. And then Wizards went, okay, we're backing down. Well, get this. This is going to sound crazy to you if you're a Magic player. They made a deck of many things for D&D players. It's like a $100 special version. It's a deck of cards. Now, it was printed to very poor quality. And instead of doing what they do to us and going, well, deal with it, that's how we print the cards, they went, sorry, we'll take another stab at it. And then they went and did it again, and it still ended up messed up. People are returning it. They're having to fix it. So D&D is not a place where they're making a ton of bank. It has to come from Magic the Gathering, and Wizards of the Coast operating margins are incredible. 40% of the money that Wizards makes is pure profit above the cost of making it. So Magic boosters are so cheap to make that they get to keep almost half the money they make selling all this stuff, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Meanwhile, other divisions, Hasbro is just getting ruined in the toy market, right? Basically what they're doing, and Magic is kind of walking down this track now, is they've made really, really low quality, overpriced products that sit and rot on the shelves. They've talked about this specifically in the earnings report, the headwinds they're running into and all this inventory. And it's because it's very poor quality and it's incredibly overpriced. So everything has to be massively marked down to sell. And this is the era that we're moving into with Magic the Gathering. Up until now, I went to the game store for many, many years, and the guy who ran the game store had one phrase he would always say when I asked him about his ordering, everything he was doing. If it was the wisest choice, he would always say, Magic always sells. But that's not the reality anymore. Things are terrifyingly the opposite, actually, where Magic doesn't always sell. We talked about the Karlov manor setup where people are going, okay, the game store's turning around and saying, I'm sending this back to the distributor, even though I'm going to eat a 15% loss on it because I have to pay them a restocking fee. Well, it gets worse now because this isn't just an LGS level thing. This is also a distributor level situation where distributors are actually now talking to stores, people ordering from them and going, look, we're not really going to do this like we're going to have a bunch of extra stock anymore. Like if you don't know how it used to work, basically, Magic boxes were always worth having kicking around because you'd be able to get the regular price for it or more if it became more desirable over time, to the point where distributors would actually sit on certain products. They go, you know what? We ordered 100,000 boxes of this. We're going to sit on 20,000 boxes. We're only going to let you buy from this pool. These ones we're going to keep because we know if we do that 6 months down the road, we're going to be able to sell them for more or whatever. So you had a situation where everybody, I remember the game store I went to, he would buy extra boxes just to tuck them away because he knew, hey, they're going to sell. People will buy them. Everything for Magic sells. But now distributors are saying, look, we're not going to have a bunch of back stock anymore because people aren't buying it. We have to end up discounting it to sell it. So we need you to order how much you're going to want and be like, basically, it's almost like reverse allocations where the distributors used to be, we'll let you have a bit of this product. And now it's like, yo, we're only going to buy as much as we need. So you better figure out how much you need because we're just not going to have anymore. It's too much of a risk. I honestly couldn't even conceive of this happening until it was explained to me. And then I was just like, oh, wow, this is much, much worse than I thought it was. Like, if you have a situation where you can't even turn to the distributor later and get the stuff, then you've got, it's just, Wizards, I don't know if this is part of some crazy plan to try and shunt everything through Amazon. I thought it was bad enough when you'd buy a box from Amazon for 120, the distributors have it for 117. So as a store, how are you supposed to buy it from the distributor and really make any profit? But if the distributors aren't even going to stock the products anymore, that's a whole new level. So this is literally what's going on with Hasbro's toy supply. Year on year, they're losing money as the products sit there, atrophy, nobody buys them. And Magic has moved into this. Karlov Manor isn't the first set that people have gone, boom, we're sending it back. That happened with Commander Masters, the first insanely overpriced Commander Master reprint set, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they have another one in the works with a reskinned name now, because they can't call it Commander Masters 2 after the first one failed so miserably. But either way, distributors for the first time in Magic's history are going, no, you know what? We're going to save our money and space for other products that are not going to cause us losses. So this is something that Hasbro has basically created for themselves. They had terrible fourth quarter results, right? Over this year, just so you know, they lost $1 billion, actually over $1 billion as a company. They basically had to write off their entire entertainment. They had this huge entertainment plan where it's like, bro, we're going to build up all this stuff. And they spent like $1.5 billion on it. And then they went, we can't make this work, or we don't want to try and make it work. And then they sold that off for like $400 million. So they ate a loss of $1.1 billion. That's on the books. They're trying to offset that with all the people that they're firing, right? So you're looking at it going, oh, this is just ugly. Like normally shareholders are getting dividends per share and they're coming out to the investors going, so here's the thing. Each share is going to eat like a $7 loss on this entertainment industry thing that we just kind of threw off to the side. And also our biggest cash cow, Magic the Gathering, is actually going to be on the decline in 2024. They're projecting a 3 to 5% decline. Now, bear in mind, this is language that they're using with their investors, right? These are the people who are in charge. So they're going to be couching it in the most like, oh, hey, it's not that big a deal. Maybe just 3 to 5%. That's their projections. But understand that for the last 3 quarters, Hasbro has not met expectations, right? When this happened, when they announced this, their share price dropped by like 10%. They're getting hammered and they're desperate. And they're talking about how they're only going to take like a 5% loss. But the way that they're doing things with the products they've already designed, remember, they're relying on Magic for all of their money. All the Magic has to provide the money to pay all of the salaries for people at Hasbro and everything else because they're losing money on all of it, right? So any new initiatives they have, like sure, maybe the toy lines are paying enough to actually make the toys being produced. So it's paying for the employees for that. But in terms of developing new product lines, got no money for that. Want to do anything else? Got no money for that. Every dollar has to come from Magic the Gathering. And when we talk about what's going on with the play boosters and that insanity, you'll see they have no idea what they're doing. They're grasping at straws. The Lord of the Rings was a huge event, right? It's a huge event. And it only moved the numbers up by a couple of percent for them income-wise because they need so much money to fill the vacuum of what Hasbro is losing overall. Wizards of the Coast could be like a 50% profit operation, $1 billion corporation, and still it's not sufficient to feed this yawning chasm. So what happens now? They've announced that Universes Beyond will have 2 big Universe Beyond sets every year. And that's 2 big ones. That doesn't include Universe Beyond Commander decks and stuff like that. The writing is on the wall. Wizards of the Coast has looked at stuff like the Brothers War and went, look, we tried really hard to feed into their nostalgia and give them their own world and all that, and it didn't do that well. While they're ignoring the fact that the story they wrote for it was directly contradictory to the cards, they end up also at the same time announcing Magic 30, which just turned a bunch of people off and made them leave. So of course you're going to have diminished sales as you made the most aggravating product in Magic's history, but they turn around and go, oh, you know what it is? That they don't like our worlds or whatever. The only world that matters is Ravnica. Do you feel like we've been to Ravnica too much? Well, I got bad news for you. The fear over at Wizards of the Coast has led to more Ravnica coming. How do I know this? Well, they released the last installment of the story for the Karlov Manor storyline, okay? It's to lead us into Thunder Junction. It's the follow-up for the mystery event, and it basically goes like this. Niv Mizzet is turning Ravnica into the center of the entire multiverse. Remember how Dominaria was the center of the multiverse? Not anymore. It's Ravnica. Ravnica is going to have Omen paths connecting to everywhere and everything, and Niv Mizzet's going to make sure that it's the center of things. So clearly, as far as I'm concerned, that signals very heavily that Wizards of the Coast is retracting even more from their own personal IPs in terms of using worlds we've been to before, aside from maybe Ravnica, Ixalan, and Innistrad. And who knows if Innistrad even gets to be in the mix anymore, considering how badly the last visit there went. So we have them relying less and less on what got them where we are now, and more on gimmicky stuff. And this desperation, remember, they're saying they're going to have a 5% decline this year, but we're starting off with Karlov Manor. This set, like I said, it's stores sending it back, distributors sending it back, people changing how they order going forwards. This is reforming the whole play booster thing with the increased prices. All of it is coming together to reform how things operate, and it's not going to be good for Wizards. They had to make changes to Thunder Junction. Let's talk about Aftermath and Epilogue boosters, because March of the Machine Aftermath is the worst regular set that Wizards of the Coast has put out in however many years. And the reason for that is they called it an epilogue set. It's supposed to be the story afterwards. But when you look at the set, it's a handful of disparate elements that are all just stapled there together. And they say this is the story afterwards, when what it really looks like is just extra parts of the original set that didn't make it. And they said, what if instead of just saying these cards aren't good enough for the main set or don't meet whatever criteria, why don't we just shove them into an extra set and see if we can sell people that as a story set? But then they didn't include any story to go with it. Most of the cards that were included didn't really feature story beats. You had one with Chandra and Nissa, and you had another that featured like the Kenrith's funeral, but all that stuff really just felt like it should be in the main set. And I still believe they just carved a little bit off the set and wanted to see, can we sell them smaller boosters? So Aftermath was such a terrible set that when they did a poll recently asking people to rate sets, Aftermath was left off of it. When asked why, Wizards said it was left off the poll because they already know how much people hate Aftermath. Aftermath was like 5-card boosters where you'd get like 3 or 4 uncommons and a rare or a mythic. So there was some huge complaints that people had about them. One, it was so boring, right? Like none of it ties together and you keep getting the same cards over and over and over. You could open one pack and get 3 copies of the same card in like a 5-card pack, which is nightmarishly dumb. I mean, from our perspective, from Wizards' perspective, like, woohoo, cut the production costs in half and sell them stuff we were just going to throw away anyways. That's all win, right? So we hated it. We hated the price point, which was insane. We hated the non-variety of it. So Wizards had no idea. They thought this thing was going to be amazing. They thought the Aftermath was going to be so good that they designed multiple products around it. Thunder Junction, the upcoming boop, 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 put 'em up style cowboy set. That one had its own epilogue set to come afterwards. When Wizards saw how bad the reaction was to that, they went, okay, what are we gonna do? Oh, here's what we're gonna do. Now, they haven't officially said this, but you wait, in a week you'll find out this is exactly what happened. They have taken pretty much all the list cards out of the set, and they're shoving Thunder Junction's epilogue Aftermath set back into Thunder Junction. So as far as I'm concerned, they developed a big Thunder Junction set, carved part of it off to try and sell to us as another set with smaller boosters, realized nobody was going to have it, and then were forced to jam that back into the weird list slot where they're already trying to add weird extra layers. Magic boosters have become a bizarre scenario, right? Where they go, draft boosters and set boosters are a bad idea because they can't coexist and we should really just have one booster. Introducing play boosters. By the way, we also have Booster Beyond. You just said that having multiple boosters was a bad idea. So what are you doing? Well, we really just said that because we're just changing them and we'll just say whatever to you in the moment. So deal with it. So, Aftermath is a disaster. Thunder Junction has to shove it back in, but here's the thing. Beyond boosters and Assassin's Creed, guess what? It was designed as a parallel style product, okay? And so what that means is it's a parallel to an epilogue set where they went, okay, we're going to do these Beyond boosters the same way. So the upcoming Assassin's Creed set, and I ranted about this a whole bunch. If you want to see it, it's in the live stream archive. I'll link it at the end of the video here, but I went off on all kinds of different levels about this. But the Assassin's Creed set that's coming up is going to be a 100-card set. They're going to come in 7-card booster packs, right? Okay, so 5 cards, 7 cards, gonna have the same problems, right? Same product. You can't pretend like they're not when Wizards of the Coast themselves were like, hey, so people didn't like this product, and this was designed to be like that product, but like we couldn't really change much because by the time we find out how much you guys hated it, the product was pretty much already made. That's what Wizards was saying. So they're like, guys, we know that you don't like it, but we paid a lot for the license, and we gotta sell this stuff, so it's coming out anyways. So they put out the breakdown, and it's 3 uncommons per pack, a land or a scene card, and then you can get like a rare, maybe a foil or whatever, and there's an ad token card in every pack. So there's technically 8 cards in every pack if you count the token or ad card. There's no chance of becoming a list card. It's not an extra magic card. It's literally just like, it's crazy to me that they're even putting ad cards in the the Beyond boosters. There's so many new things that it's hard to keep track of it. That's probably part of their plan too. Just keep us full of bafflement gum so we got no idea what we're chewing on. But anyways, you've got this scenario where these packs are going to be 7-card packs, just like Aftermath. They know it's going to be bad, and they said people's complaint was about the variety, and we were able to maybe make a few tweaks. We also know that people complained about the price, and we did what we could with the product that's already been made. And that's literally just saying it's going to have an atrocious price point. Like, they're expecting to skeeze you a bunch of money for a low effort Assassin's Creed set that they also made sure to mention they're going to put some juice reprints in there too to get you, come on, maybe you'll chase after this version of, I don't know, some card that you want, a mana crypt, but it's got Enzo going, hey, on it or something, right? Like, it's absolutely insane to see how much they are leaning on universes beyond going forwards. And what this is, these Booster Beyond thing, the idea is this is for properties that are too small to support a bigger release, right? So if you're not willing to put in the Commander full-on treatment, you don't have enough for Commander decks, you don't have enough for a full release like the 2 we're going to get every year, then you're going to get this. So the future of Magic going forward is going to be, we have 6 for now, until they cram more in, 6 like major tentpole set releases a year, right? So Karlov Manor is one of those style of sets. That's what we normally get. Now, 2 out of 6 of those going forwards is going to be dedicated to things outside of Magic the Gathering. And that's just that. Then you've got these Booster Beyond that they're probably going to want to layer in on top of the Commander stuff. And more, we move away from what makes Magic Magic and has made it all work all along. So we're just going to expand out more and more. Like the fact that they're already doing Clue, it's already screaming desperation. So it's a pretty wild setup overall. Things, they just look grim. I don't see things getting better for a long time because it feels like the people at the top just want to squeeze as much money as they can from the game, and they consider it to just be a product that's done for. They view it the same way that they would view any of the toy lines or anything else that like Hasbro has under its domain. But Magic the Gathering, it's not the same as those things. It's super special. And I look at the margins they're pulling down and look at where the money has to come from. How is it not going to get progressively worse from here? They're saying this year is going to be, we're only going to get a 5% loss, but they're clueless. Karlov Manor has tanked. Thunder Junction is going to do just as badly because it's just going to be a bunch of random tropes. Meet your mom at high noon for a golf shootout, okay? We're going down to the OK Saloon Tombstone style. Not the pizza, though. The guy who got shot out back. And it's like, okay, put on your spurs and whatever lazy nonsense this is going to be. It's just, check it out, Oko's here. He's got no shirt and he's got a 6-shooter, whoopity-doo. And then you just go, did this bring anybody in? No, but the price just went up by 30% more because we need more money. Oh, wait, why is nobody buying these Beyond boosters? Why are all our products failing? It's crazy. It's crazy. So I said that I would end off with some nice news. So let's move on into things that aren't bad. Okay, so you may remember that I did a tribute video to Sheldon, the godfather of Commander. Well, Wizards of the Coast is actually creating a special secret layer specifically for him. It's actually done, I should say. I don't know if it's printed, but the designs are all done. There's a card specifically featuring him, and it looks like it's most likely from the Strixhaven Black-White house. So you have that going on, and whatever other cards they choose to include. As far as I understand, the Commander Rules Committee are going to be the ones to reveal the contents of that. So we'll cover that either in a future video or in a live stream to let you guys know what's in there. Now, I want to talk about the mystery thing that Wizards of the Coast did here, because at a certain point, I kind of thought it was all for nothing, but they wrapped it up in a way that is kind of neat, and what they did overall isn't the worst, so I'm going to give them some credit for that and talk about the positive. So if you weren't following it, because a bunch of people weren't, they did this whole mystery thing for the set, where there was a series of 13 different days of clues, right? And so the first 12 different days were different clues involving the Magic website, different products you get, bundles, boxes, all this kind of thing. And people, you could see them online getting together, having fun solving it. But it wasn't really being done by a huge amount of people in terms of like we're all squad figuring it out. It seemed like there was a more core group of dedicated people who were really having a fun, like figuring out the puzzle and figuring out each day what Magic card you were looking for. Where basically they would give you like a set and a card from that set, and then you'd find the collector number from that card and that set, and then you'd find the exact same card with this, well, not the exact same card, but the exact same collector number in the Karlov Manor set, and then you would have one of the cards that's part of the clues, right? So once you have all the clues together, then you can figure out the final puzzle. And then once you figure out the final puzzle, what you're actually able to do is open up Magic Arena, open up the deck builder, put in all of the 12 different cards that were from the 12 different clues, and then you rename your deck The Way is Open, and then Wizards of the Coast sends you a card style as well as like 5 levels worth of experience on Arena. Now, if you don't play Arena, obviously that's not that big a deal for you, right? But on the other hand, it is cool that they went to the extra level for that, and it also really did firm up my whole theory that they just took a bunch of unused Capenna assets for this project, because when you look at the sleeve that you get for this, it's the silvered brass knuckles from Capenna with Capenna characters in the reflection. So my guess is they had the stuff kicking around. Once they did the Karlov Manor, they went through the pipeline. All Capenna assets, flush them out. So the sleeve is weird. But hey, 5 level ups on the mastery pass towards that little mole guy wearing the fedora and the jacket. I have to admit, I actually really like the mole pet with the hat and the jacket. There's just something about his vibe. So that part is fun for me. So I told you I'd end it off on a fun note. I'm going to do a live stream over on my other channel, Hatcher, if you want to come by and hang out. And if you ever miss any of my live streams, they're over on the live stream archive, which just became part of the YouTube partner program as well. I'm very happy about that. So thanks for everybody who helped me get there. And also, thank you to all of my patrons for supporting my channel. You guys rule. I will see you all in the next video.